The Smith & Wesson Model 422, let's check it out. Smith & Wesson introduced their Model 422 in 1987. It was produced until 1996, and it was a really lightweight, handy, very pointable firearm. These also came in the 622, and the difference was a blue carbon slide with an aluminum frame, and the 622 had a stainless steel slide with an aluminum frame that matched the slide. They came in 4.5 and 6 inch. Just a great little shooting gun, and there's a lot of features with the 422 and 622 that are pretty unique, but there's a lot of guys out there that had owned these over time that really love these little pistols. I've been looking for one for a while, jumped on GunBroker and found one. The Smith & Wesson Model 422. Guys, it is a different looking firearm for sure. One thing about it is it's super thin. Now the grips are going to definitely add to that, but it does come with some nylon type grips that are just black and some kind of polycarbonate, and those are really nice as well. A little bit thinner, and it really makes the gun look a little bit more modern with these grips. This is probably one of the early models, but I like that wood, man. It's just beautiful. And again, it does remind me of the standard Smith & Wesson models that were out at the time. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to drop our magazine and we're going to check the chamber, and it's empty. If you'll notice that magazine release, it's right here in the grip. Very unique. You just hit it and it pops those magazines out really fast. Just ejects them. And what I love about that is that I can use my shooting hand and just hit it with any finger and be able to pop that out. You know, it's funny because I don't really know why other companies haven't done that, except unless you can get a grip on it and you can hit the mag release while you have a grip. But it is recessed right here, and I've never had any problems with that. It's an all aluminum frame at the bottom, all the way down, even this barrel shroud. And then, of course, you have your slide right here that is blue carbon steel. But it's just a nice little lightweight slide that kind of pops back. And we do have, it does hold open on the last round, but it just works like that. Now, you would think that the ejection port is here, but it's actually here. So here is your chamber, and so you can see right there that the barrel meets up with the chamber right here, and then the barrel goes all the way down. And it's low, and that's another cool thing about this firearm, is the barrel actually is at the underneath, kind of like the Chiappa Rhino. And so this gives you a really low bore axis. So while my hand's here, the barrel comes straight back and just barely moves over my hand. And so this is just another thing that's just unique about this pistol. Now you do have these scallops right here just to lessen the weight, just a touch. Squared off trigger guard, you know, if you like shooting like that. But one thing that I love about these grips is it gives you a full handle. I mean, it's like a full-size firearm with the grip. Sometimes with 22s they get a little small and thin, but I think that had to do with really mimicking some of the semi-automatic models of the Smith & Wesson. Has a nice little beaver tail that comes up. Now here we have our frame safety right here, and then we have our slide stop right here. And again, I like that it does hold open on that last round. Really fine serrations, but this slide is so lightweight, it's so easy just to pull back. The rear sight is adjustable, and you can see where you can actually replace that. You can check your windage, your elevation, and then we have just a front blade that's pretty easy to see. Now again, this is a used firearm and it's over 25 years old at least. And so it's got a couple of dings here and there, but to me that just adds character to the firearm, as long as it's not abused. It does have a 4.5-inch barrel and it's threaded. You can see where they have the little thread nut right here, and there's a tool, which of course this is a used firearm, it didn't come with that tool, but there's a small little tool that you can use to take this off, put an adapter on it, and be able to use it, and put a suppressor on it. And that's pretty good considering that this came out of the late 80s, early 90s. Here on the frame, 22 long rifle cartridge, and then Smith & Wesson. I don't think that there is a model number anywhere on here. The markings are pretty clean, and it just makes it for a more of just sort of an elegant firearm, even though it's just a basic 22. Now the magazines are actually a 10-round magazine, but they were designed to be a 12-round magazine. But during the assault weapons ban, they backed it up into a 10-rounder. And these are actually the same magazines that the Model 41 use, so these are still in production and you can still get them. I think they're around 36 bucks a piece. You see that the mag release slot is right here at the front of the magazine, again, which makes it pretty unique. It's blue steel, and it does have one of these assist buttons that kind of bring this down, and you can load pretty easily. It's more of the 1911 grip angle. One thing about the ejection port is that they do eject out of this chamber, so it's right above your grip. Now again, the 622 is just a stainless slide with a kind of a silver anodized finish on the frame. Those are really nice. They're a little more difficult to get than the blued model, but on GunBroker I typically see them pretty regularly. Sometimes the prices can really run up. They did make a 622 VR, which has a vent rib on top, and that definitely brings a premium. This actually came from the original Escort, which is a very short little barrel and short grip. Honestly, I did a review on those when I first started my channel, and I couldn't get it to function, but it was an older gun at the time, and I think those were made in the 60s. But you may have one that works just fine, but that was my experience. Now, these also come in the 3-inch version, which is a 2214 in the blue and 2213 for the stainless. It's an 8-round magazine, so it's just a different type. And then they make the 2206, which is an all steel frame. So it has quite a bit of heft, and it really gets it up there toward, your Model 41, more premium 22s, but, still less money than your Model 41. Now we're going to check the trigger pull action, and I've got a couple of snap caps in here so we can check the trigger and the reset. You don't want to pull the trigger on an empty chamber with rimfire that often. Trigger pull action, just a little bit of take up, and a nice break. It's not super crisp, but it's not bad. Let's check reset. Man, that reset is fast. Wow. Yeah, that's a super fast reset. Let's check our trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells. 3 pounds, 5.5 ounces. Weight on the Model 442. 1 pound, 5.6 ounces, or 21.6 ounces. And I think a lot of that has to do with the wood grips. You put those nylon grips on here, it'd probably drop it down a couple of ounces, or at least an ounce. We appreciate Fiocchi for sponsoring the ammo. They make some really good high quality ammo for 22. And this is copper jacketed, 40 grain, and really very comparable to the CCI Mini Mags. These are all made in the USA, and it's one of the largest suppliers of ammo in the country. Now when it comes to shooting, I love to take a 22 down to the range, whether pistol or rifle, but there's just something about that low report, the less muzzle blast, and just very enjoyable, plus the ammunition is fairly inexpensive. And so it's great to take, especially first-time shooters, down to the range, or even starting out kids on a firearm. 22 just is a great way to get things started. It's very useful to have, and of course you can hunt with it, a lot of target practice. You can really refine your skills.
And having an accurate 22 makes a big difference. This little 422 is very reliable. I mean, we didn't have any malfunctions. It's just got a really light slide that pops back, and there's just hardly any recoil. With that barrel in that low position, it even makes it even less recoil. It gets it down. That bore axis is really low in your hand. And so again, 22, low bore axis, it just makes it really fun to shoot. The grip is a little bit large, which gives you a full size grip. And a lot of the Smith & Wesson semi-autos had these kind of grip styles. And so if I'd had a model 5906 or even a 59 or 39, this would have been a great companion to go with it, which I do have, and it does make a great companion. But great for training, gives you a full-size grip, and yet that light recoil and just that little slide coming back. This is just a lot of fun to shoot. But what I really like is this magazine release. And you know, it's funny, I've heard people complain about it. You know, they said, well, it's kind of weird. Man, you can just touch that and the mag just drops out. And there's hardly any change in your grip. You just drop it and pops. These do take, again, the Smith & Wesson Model 41 mags, so they're still plentiful and they're out there. And it's one of the things that's really good because this gun is over 25 years old, and a lot of times with older guns, magazines can get really expensive. But a very handy, just easy to shoot, and of course there's a number of different models of these that are out there. And guys, if you ever get a chance to pick one of these up, I think you're going to find that it's very enjoyable, and of course it's just Smith & Wesson quality.
And when it comes to disassembly, we're going to drop our magazine, check to make sure that the gun is unloaded. First thing we want to do is to bring this back and slide lock. Now there's a little piece, it's right here, and we're going to want to have that depressed, and we're going to pull out this piece right here. And there's a tool that actually came with this originally, and of course we don't have that. So we're going to take a spent shell, just a spent 22 shell. This is about the right size. And you put it right down here, and then we're going to release our slide, and then it just depresses that little piece. And when that happens, we can pull this little top piece out. Now this is actually locked onto this, we'll look at it, but make sure when you're putting it back in that the recessed area goes toward the back of the firearm and the flat area goes to the front. Now you want to remove this shell that is under spring tension, this little rod here. So what we're going to do is bring it back, remove the shell. Sometimes this bar can get stuck. Oh, freaking, there it goes. Okay, then it releases. Sometimes it'll get caught back here, so you just need to have it released. You don't want that to hit too hard on the front here. And then what we're going to do is just pull this piece, as we pull the slide back, pull this piece off. And this is your recoil spring and guide rod. There's a small space in between, and that's what fits to capture this. So once we rest this on that little shell or whatever tool, then you can lift this out, and then you got to be careful because this is under spring tension. Next, just take your slide, bring it up and over. And then here's the channel where the spring and the guide rod fit. As you can see, it's definitely a lot different than most designs. And because that barrel is at the bottom, and again, if you do have the tool, you can take this off and put an adapter and attach a suppressor or whatever. So this is pretty much what you want to do to field strip. Here you can see the firing pin, and we're not going to take all that apart because you really don't need to do that with a basic field strip, and that's getting really detailed. To reassemble, you want to get that little piece down there and get it onto the rails. Then we're going to bring it back, holding it down because you can see that it does pop up. And then we're going to reinsert our spring and our guide rod. Now pull back on your guide rod and just slip that shell in there, and that's just going to give it the right spacing. And so as you bring this back over it, you see you have that little notch right there, and that's where this goes in. Slips in like this. Release it, and you're all done. One thing you got to be careful of is when this rod, if it doesn't go back into the right position, you won't be able to pull this slide all the way back. You'll still see the bolt. As you can see, the bolt is hidden, and so you just want to make sure. I did that the first time I broke it down. And so really, this is about the perfect size, and it won't harm the recoil spring and guide rod. And so this is just a little trick. But if you have the tool, that makes it even easier. So it's not very difficult to disassemble, it's just a little trick. And one thing I do want to mention is that I am missing the grip screw on this side and on this side. And I got on eBay and I found 2 of them, and so I've ordered them. But parts should be fairly available for these, and again, the magazines do fit your standard Model 41, which they're still in production.
Now, when it comes to pros and cons, I mean, these are out of production, so if you do have any parts problems, it could be a little bit of an issue being able to find the parts. But from what I understand, there are a lot of parts available. Of course, the magazines are really easy to come by with the 41, Smith & Wesson 41, and so it's great to have that compatibility. I love this magazine release. I just love it. I mean, I like the paddle mag release already, so this is also something that's really great, and you can take your shooting hand and drop that mag out, which I like. Very low recoil, and that barrel being so low makes it very easy to shoot. I mean, it is 22 again, so it's not going to be really that much of any kind of recoil in the first place, but it is a very lightweight gun. Of course, the barrel being already threaded, get you an adapter for 5x28, throw on your favorite suppressor on there. The sights are actually pretty decent and adjustable at the back, and of course just a fixed sight at the front. Very accurate, great little gun, feels good in your hand, has that 1911 grip angle. And so really, guys, overall, this is just a great little firearm. There's very few cons, and again, really the only con is if you happen to break one, it may be a little difficult to find the parts. But otherwise, and to the price. I think when these started out, they were about $250 manufacturer suggested retail. Now they're running between $350 and $400 and up, according to what you're getting and according to who's selling it. But great little firearm from a bygone era. A lot of different things about this pistol that set it apart, especially from the newer Smith & Wessons. Honestly, except for the Model 41, I would definitely take this over some of their newer ones. So guys, if you like 22 and you like taking them out, this is a great choice. If you happen to find one at a gun shop or a pawn shop, or of course obviously on GunBroker, these are a great little pickup, and they shoot very well. They're light, they're accurate, they're very fun just to take out to the range. And again, for those first time shooters, this is a great choice. But even if you're an old seasoned shooter like me, I love shooting these things. Rubber Dummies is one of the best training tools on the market, and you get a 10% discount using Suit00 when you click the link down in the description. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Smith & Wesson, love, true love, Smith & Wesson, good gosh. But it's a 10-shot, carbon slide with a blued aluminum finish. It's a fairly accurate pistol, it's lightweight, fairly accurate. The 422 is a stainless. Great for pest control, great just to have for different things. And what different things? I mean, what different things are there? I got a list of these different things that 22 is going to do. One is give you a lot of fun. I never had one of these for a long time. So I was looking, I don't want to do any of that.